for Play and Android. And this is the last session of the day, so I'm going to try to keep it quick. I heard there's another session after this in room 4 with beers, so to advertise that, so you can go there. And I'll try to make it quick and interesting for you. And I'll talk about 3 things. First of all, I'll give you an update on the numbers of Play and Android, just to give you a sense of the momentum and the opportunity there. And the main thing, I'm going to focus on some tools that are available in Developer Console on Play that you should take advantage of. And most of them are new, so maybe you're familiar with some of them, but maybe you haven't heard of all of them, so just a good refresher and some updates. And the last one, I'm going to talk about some tips on the Asian markets. This is a big opportunity for us. We have a really good presence in the Asian market, so we love to help developers to be successful there as well. So anything you can think about to make your game successful there and you want to discuss with us, it's definitely something we're very interested in. So anyway, let's start with the numbers. Here's some updated numbers on Android as a platform. Great momentum, as you see. We're now available in more than 200 OEMs, and that means that we also have 80% of the smartphone market. 1 billion Android devices were shipped globally only in 2014, and as you see, every day now we're at 1.5 million activations. So not only is the biggest platform out there, but it's also still growing, and especially in markets where most of the users are still not online, or still don't have a smartphone, and their first smartphone is an Android phone. So we're seeing great momentum on that. And this momentum, this scale, empowers Play to be the place where you can build a very successful business. We recently announced that this is a fairly new stat. We paid $7 billion to developers in 2014, so it's a serious money-making platform, and many developers are taking advantage of that. This also means that we had 50 billion app downloads in the same year. And as you see here, we mentioned that this is a worldwide business, and I want to share more about that actually, because you probably know about the stats, but I want to share some country level stats. First of all, Google Play is also, not only because the name is Play, but it's also the fastest growing mobile gaming platform in history. Out of all the users that I talk about, three out of 4 are Play games, and only in the last 6 months we added 108 million users to Google Play games. So it's really a platform. The scale of this platform is huge for mobile, but it's also huge for gaming in general. And about the money part and how this is a global business, we are really focusing on making it easier for users to pay. That's definitely the first thing a platform should do to empower developers to make money. And one of the things that we're doing is enabling more locally relevant payment methods. Here are some updated stats on how the different payment methods that we have. Of course, we have credit cards in most countries, most of the relevant ones, but also we have now gift cards available in 28 countries, direct carrier billing in 33, and PayPal, which we recently announced it almost a year ago, now it's available in 21 countries. So overall, you can sell your app from 80 countries, but in 136 markets. That's a lot of markets, that are a lot of users and a lot of opportunities. Of course, some of them are easier to take advantage of, some are a bit more difficult. I'm going to talk about the Asian markets, but the scale is just unprecedented. And about local payment, this is why we're doing this. These are some stats of what results we've seen when we enable new forms of payment. Some examples. In Germany, when we added locally relevant form of payment, we saw 70% year-on-year growth in revenues. It's 100% in Russia when we did the same, and 80% in Hong Kong. So those are 2 examples. Overall, this means that as a business, we are empowering people to make more money in different markets, and we saw overall 38% 38% growth year on year for developers that where their main sales revenues were coming from international sales. So a really important stat for us is not only how much money you make in the usual markets in your domestic market if you're a US developer in the US, but also how do you take advantage of Russia, Brazil, Japan, Korea, all those markets that are really growing fast. Okay, so that's the numbers. That's just an update on the business and where we are. Now some tips on the product. First thing I wanted to remind everyone, probably you know about this, but the developer console is where you publish and optimize your presence on the store. And as a publish platform is very powerful. This is probably the most relevant feature, and most of you might know, but I thought it would be good to start with this. You can make your app available in alpha and beta testing mode channels, which means that the app is not public. No one can see it on the store, no one can download it except the people that you actually invite to an alpha group or a beta group. Those people will be able to see the app in the store and download it, and they will be able to give you feedback, but not to leave a rating, so that your rating score will not be affected by the beta version or the alpha version, but you can still get feedback and tests. When you're ready for actually pushing a public build, you can do it in stage, what we call stage rollout. So you can select a percentage of it, and this is of course only available for updates, because you're basically selecting a percentage of users that will get the update. You can start with 10%, for example, and we'll only push the update to 10% of your user base. You can check how things are going, if everything is going well and all that, and then you can increase the percentage in increments that you decide, up to 100% of your full production. So very useful set of tools to make sure that you have a quality push every time you push an update, or when you launch with the alpha and beta testing. 80% of our more successful apps in the Play Store use these features. And so if you don't already, I strongly encourage you to build an alpha beta community and use this to optimize your app, your game. Cool. The other so that's fairly not too recent. We have this for a while. This is very recent. So we announced that at Google I/O. You now have the developer home pages on the store. So again, through the developer console, you can set this up. You can put assets there. You can define what game you want. You have a description of your company. People can share and like it, and then you can feature one of your games below, and all the other games will be listed below the featured one. So it's a nice landing page where you can send your users to if you want to showcase all your apps, and you can link it in your social channels and all that. So this is very easy to set up. Again, from the developer console. You just need to upload the assets and decide what you want to make out of it. So check it out. The other thing that is fairly new and you can opt in through the developer console is Play for Family. So this is another browsing section, that we are including in the store. If your app or game is opted in this section, you will be viewable. Your app will be discoverable in both places. So in the normal store and category where you are, but also in this. So it's an additional way to get discovered. And this as you can see from a couple of screenshots here, this section has some browsing functionalities that are optimized for family and kid content. So you have age groups that you can select. So you as a developer, you can target up to 2 of them, and then we have, of course, charts and collections that are around kids' themes, and then you can also have a popular character. So if you have a popular character in one of your games, you can opt in to participate in one of these. So for example, if you have a game with Spider-Man, you can be showcased here. And this is a cross-vertical section, so film, movies, books, games are all showing up here when relevant. Okay, so that's from a user and a discoverability perspective, but we also improved analytics. This is something we announced at I/O. It's not public yet. It means that it's not launched. It's public information, but it's not launched. It's going to be soon launched. So this is a sneak peek on what's happening. We're improving analytics, and the main thing we're adding is this. You will be able to see your store listing visitors, so the views of your page on the store. How many people actually, what percentage of people that viewed the listing downloaded and installed the game, and how many of them were converted to buyers, and how many of them, of those buyers, are actually repeated buyers. And this is a quick view of your funnel that you can then optimize, and you can also drill down by sources of traffic. So you can also only see this for organic visits, AdWords campaigns, and Google search. So really powerful way to look at your conversion funnel. And we're actually, this was probably the most requested feature from our developers, being able to know how many people actually saw my listing. Am I doing something wrong on the listing? Is it the game? What is happening? So I think this is super powerful. So it's coming very soon. Check it out on the developer console. And you can get a lot of insights from this. And we're also providing you some tools to actually act on them. And the main one is, again, a new feature is experiments. You can now experiment different assets on your store listing and check which one converts better. So you can experiment on icons, on titles, on screenshots, on the video, on the description, and check too. For example, we wanted to test 2 different icons and see which one performs better in Italy. We basically run an A/B testing and tell you which one is the winner and by how much. Here we have some case studies I wanted to show you. The first one is congregated, so double-digit increase in installs just by optimizing the icon through this A/B testing approach. Again, all done through the developer console. No need for third-party tools, integration with that. It's all in the console. And then you can go back to your analytics and see if this is improving, right? So another case study, a bit more deep dive in this. 2 Dots, it's a popular match 3 game in the US especially. They run a series of tests on all their assets. 2 Dots, actually PlayDots, the company, they also tested the other game, which is Dots, and this is 2 Dots. They did the same testing on the icon, actually on the description, and they basically, the control was the normal short description, and the other option was a simple call to action, without really specifying what the game is about, but more about engage with the game already. And they saw in both cases the experiment, the new option was converting better in both cases, especially here with 2 Dots. The call to action, without even mentioning the title of the game, was much better than the control. 7% increase in conversion just by optimizing that. The other thing they tested is screenshots. Here they ran some tests on which screenshot to show, and especially where, if it was better to show a simple text explanation of what was going on the screenshot, or just leave it blank. And they saw that leaving it blank with no text description was performing much worse. So they decided that they would actually put the description with text over the screenshot in every screenshot. They even ran a separate test in different other markets, and they figured out that by localizing this text, they would get even better conversion. So again, you can do this test at the global level, but you can also focus on one specific market and see what matters there. And they did that and improved further. So very powerful. The other, I don't know why this disappeared, but that was this video. Okay, nice. They also tested the trailer, so the long version and the short version. Surprisingly, the short version was performing worse, so they decided to go with the long version. That's an assumption that in most cases you assume that the short version performs better, that testing makes it a bit more scientific. Again, this is not an insight on all videos should be longer or all screenshots should have description. But that lets you test your assumption and see what really matters for your game. Every answer is different depending on the game and the market. So, but that was the result for them. Very interesting. This is another case study. This is a Japanese game from Dina. This is their original screenshot, and very different style, of course, of the Japanese game. But they had some hypotheses on how to improve that screenshot. They had a landscape version, they had a female character version, and they had a version with the names of the actors, of the voiceover actors. And for each one, the assumption was that it could improve conversion because of this and that. They actually ran the test and they saw that it improved 9%, just the landscape, 28% with the female character, but actually the winner was 40% improvement over the original, but just by adding the names of the actors that are popular in Japan, doing the voiceovers. So in the end, they're Japanese and they don't mind having complex UIs. They went for all of them. So they included landscape, female characters, and names of the of the actors. But they knew that all of them were actually what was the impact of each one of those actions, and so they went with confidence in this, and this one improved conversion. So very, very powerful. Okay, so that's some tools that are new to the developer console that I can use today. This actually makes me, it's a good lead to the next topic, which is localizing to take advantage of global reach, and especially focusing on Asian markets. So I mentioned before how global the business is. Here is around there, 130 countries and more than 190 countries where you can actually distribute the app, 130 where you can sell your app, and 65, this is the stuff that I haven't mentioned before, you have 65 countries where you can localize the currency at which you sell. So it's a very global store, and APAC is one of the most interesting markets, as you probably know already. They're big spenders, they're big gamers on mobile, but it's difficult to be successful there. So I just wanted to share some insights on what we're seeing working in APAC that you can think of when you think about your game portfolio and what could work for you or not. So just some tips, and you can make what you want of it, but at least you get some inspiration here. So the first one is categories are very different. Here are some of the most popular categories in each main market, Korea and Japan. I'm going to focus on Korea and Japan right now because those are the main markets in APAC. You see they're very different. Even between Korea and Japan, you have different categories that are popular. You see how, for example, in Korea, realistic games with for example, the baseball simulation game is popular, while in Japan, stylistic and cuteness in visual style is dominant. So this is just to give you an idea of how different it is. But even within the same category, you have different visual styles. So this is Match 3, and you see the most popular games in Match 3 in each market, and you see how different the visual style is and how different the games are. Like each game is different. Even in between US and Europe, you have some differences, but you can tell how similar these games are versus these ones. So it's something to consider. And this cuteness translates, this difference in visual style, which I showed in the icons, also translates to screenshots and even UI of the game. You have most of, especially Japanese games, are really dominated by a different art style. And that's the art style, but it's not only about the art style, it's also about, in general, the UI. In Asia, gamers tend to like and accept and actually like very complex UIs where all the stats are available at one fingertip, everything is there, very complex, but they like it. While in US or in Europe, we tend to prefer simple UIs where the second level of detail is hidden behind the top or something else. So it's something that we spend a lot of time optimizing for, but it might not be relevant or useful, or actually could be a liability in APAC market. So something to take into consideration. Other differences is because Japanese players or Korean players spend more time on average on games, on mobile games than European or American users, they tend to stick more with the game and accept that the game can be much more complex. So in this case, you see the same game has different mechanics, a match-3 puzzle, an RPG world, an RPG story in the same game. And it's all about creating a community of people that come to the game, and then you can entertain them with different mechanics and different things without having to be too specific. And well, as you probably know, in US and Europe, it's more about making it very simple and straightforward to let you know what we should do on this game. Here, just come to the game and we'll entertain you, basically. As an aspect of that is that the social part of it is very important. And in Japan or in Korea, for that matter, it's very important that users can communicate with each other with different ways. Of course, chats, but also guilds, and of course the multiplayer and PvP component is very important. And as a result, very often you have daily events and both multiplayer and single player that are advertising in different ways both on mobile, on digital, on TV. So really powerful way to engage users. Very time-consuming, very complex to do because you have to build the capabilities for them to communicate and to cooperate live. But that's what drives engagement in these markets. And of course, another thing that drives engagement or even user acquisition is games are part of the popular culture. And so they are very prone to partnerships with anime or manga or whatever is part of the popular culture. So you often see games partnering with other characters or popular cartoons or whatnot, and having special exclusive content or exclusive events around that. So if you have the possibility, of course, that's another way to unlock the market. So that's basically what we, some insights in the market, but of course, this lets you decide whether your game is actually can have a chance of being successful in Japan or Korea, what you should take into consideration when you build a new game and you want to also be successful there, stuff like that. So it's more about the product. When it comes to optimizing your store listing, just remember that in play, you can change all of this. Your trailer can be different for each market. Your title can be different. Your item can be different. Your description can be different. Very important, the screenshot. The screenshot can, as I said before, can be localized if you have text there, but also if you have a soccer or a basketball game, you can use players that are more popular in the market for that screenshot, and then in another market change the screenshot with someone else. So really important to make sure that this is relevant because the user doesn't know about all the other markets, only sees what you published in that market. The other important thing, not only optimize the store listing, which you can do through the developer console, the other thing you can do through the developer console is this, localize your pricing. Most cases you let the Google Play Store automatically convert your pricing. For important markets, you should actually edit yourself and find the right pricing. The first thing to note is in Europe or in US, we tend to like the 0.99 price, so 1.99, 0.99. In Japan, it's not like that. If you see 137 yen or 99 yen for that matter, it doesn't make any sense. It looks weird. They like multiples of 100, 1,000, whatever, like multiple of 10. So very important to, first of all, take that rule into account, what we call vanity pricing, but also make sure you optimize the price for the market and the propensity to spend in that market. If you do that, we normally see a sales lift. This is 2x for in Japan for app that have precise local pricing versus the ones that are just converted. So that's all. I tried to make it very quick. But now we have some time for questions, so if you have, you can take questions now, otherwise outside. So, thank you. Can you
Hey, thanks. Very informative talk. Thank you very much for all the details. Very appreciated that. I was wondering for the beginning of the slide, there was something mentioned about the how much you paid out to the developers. Was that including the ads or excluding advertising?
That's the store. That's revenues from in-app purchases and premium app sales. No ads.
Okay. And do you know the stats for the ads?
I don't know myself, but in our company we try to keep those things separated for obvious reasons. But I talk with the team, so I can definitely sync with the team and let you know if we have some public data around that.
Oh, that'd be great.
There was another talk from my colleague from the ad sales team, so it might be around, and I'll check with him.
Right, great. And will you have those available, the slides available later for?
I will talk with the organizers. Oh. I think we can make some of this available. Most of this is, and sorry if I didn't put it on the slides, is available, most of the information, if not more, at developer.android.com. Mm-hmm. So there you find insights on both the distribution side, but also the technical stuff, developing, UX stuff, and much more. So check that out.
Oh, cool, thanks.
You said earlier you can run experiments on things such as even the app title.
Yeah.
I'm assuming there's a way to read that out of the manifest or whatever from the app side, so you can change like the content based on the title change.
You can change. Sorry, what content you want to change?
Okay, so my game, the title is now mutable from outside. How do I read from inside my app what the title that just was bought?
So during the experiment, the only metric that we send you back, if that's what you're asking, I'm not sure, but it's who's the winner. We're not sending you any other data, and then once the experiment is finished, then you can use whatever title you think is best.
It's
No,
not
so-
it's not about the actual title of the game, so you can just change the way it appears on the store.
That's my more technical, so probably I didn't get the question. Thank you.
Hi, thanks for the speech. What's the Japanese equivalent of 0.99 price? I mean, Japanese.
So what I was saying is that normally in Europe or in the US we have 0.99, 1.99, 2.99.
What's the proper price for Japan for that?
It depends on the game. So I wasn't suggesting what pricing you should have. It depends on the game. It depends on what you're selling within the game. But the most one of the important things is that it finishes with zeros, basically. So that's one thing. And then you can test and see what price works for you in Japan, depending on what you're selling.
Okay, thanks. I have one more question.
Sure.
How is the featuring or editor's choice process works in the App Store?
Yeah.
For Google Play. I'm not sure about how it works.
Yeah. So it works both ways. So initially we reach out to, we constantly check for new games and new apps and what's working. We try to focus a lot on quality because we think that that's what should be rewarded by featuring people that get many downloads or revenues just by advertising don't need our help, in our opinion. Like we need to focus on quality, especially for our users. So we keep an eye on that, and we reach out when we see a game that is getting some traction, but also has it's very interesting from a quality perspective, or is doing something very innovative, or stuff like that, and we reach out. We also have a relationship with developers with whom we already worked. So when we reach out and establish a relationship, then we have an ongoing relationship. So it depends on the level of the relationship. In some cases, we have regular meetings and updates, and we keep an eye on what's coming next from those developers. But it all starts with quality and us reaching out.
So you are constantly reviewing the apps uploaded and choosing some. You are constantly reviewing the apps and choosing some of them.
Yeah, I mean, it would be impossible to review every game or every app, of course, for this approach. It's more about keeping an eye on what's up, what's coming, and what's really doing something different or in a good way. We also are in this event, so we talk with people, and people come to us and show us their games, and see something interesting. We follow up. So it's it's a science, but it's also an art, I guess. So
Okay, thank you.
Hi, thanks for the talk, it was really good. Do you have any more examples of developers that have radically kind of optimized their assets, their kind of title for different markets?
So yes, we do. Here I selected the ones that were happy for us to share with you the data, and so I think we will post more of these case studies and even videos soon when we manage to produce them and get their approval to share this data. So it takes some time, but you should expect to see more of these on developer.android.com in the coming weeks or months. This stuff we made it available to some developers before we announced it, but this is actually very new. This was launched in I/O, so which was a month ago.
What does the Google team, App Store team, look like across Europe?
So you mean how we are organized? So that's a good question. So we are a global team, so anyone of us that works with a developer can work on all the markets that I mentioned, so the 130 markets. But we try to be close to where the developer is. So we have people, for example, in Israel or in Russia that work with Russian developers or Israeli developers. For Central Europe, we're of course in UK, we're also part in Germany. And so we try to allocate whatever person is more close to a developer that we care about to manage that developer. But we're all part of the same team, same as US and APAC. We all share the same best practices, and we can do the same things from wherever. So if you're a European, so the message is, if you're a European developer, you don't have a disadvantage compared to a US developer just because they're close to Silicon Valley. It doesn't matter for us. Cool. All right, I guess then there's beers in the other room. I don't remember where, but I heard there's beers.
Room 4.
Enjoy. Sorry?
Room 4.
Room 4. Thank you.